Good night, everyone. Tonight, my name is Miss Jerry. I'm coming to get you, give you a part two, um, of David, promise that God promised to David, because God promised to David his throne and his kingdom forever, and he also promised to make his name great. That's what we had just talked about, and so now I have done ever since the time I appointed a leader over my people Israel. Now I will also give you rest from all your enemies. The Lord declared to you that the Lord himself will establish a house for you. And see, God done all these things for David. And David, God said, I'm going to establish your own house. I'm going to establish a house for you. So promise from God to David and the deceiving that God will establish a permanent place for his people. David will be established. His name will be great forever. Now David will be given a safety from all his enemy. And so when your days are over and you rest with your ancestor, I will raise up your offspring to succeed you, your own flesh and blood, and I will establish his kingdom. Now God is telling him, when you let it rest, I'm gonna raise up your offspring. Your offspring gonna succeed. Your offspring gonna be his son. His son will establish the kingdom and the throne. Nobody but David bloodline will be on that throne. Nobody else can be in, and God promised this to David. Even when he laid to rest, God gonna make sure nobody but his offspring, gonna be established on this line. And Jesus is on his bloodline, and so Jesus gonna be one of those kings that gonna be over Israel. David was the one turned Jesus in. So it said from his own flesh and blood, which gonna be his son. His son gonna build a temple. His son gonna be on that throne and the kingdom. All that gonna be established for him forever. And this is how David throne all gonna be established. Now, he's not gonna build a temple, but God established much more better for him. Now, this promise from God to David that his kingdom and throne will be established forever. Now he is the one who will build the house for my name, and I will establish a throne in the kingdom forever. Now he's talking about his offspring, which is going to be Solomon. Solomon is the one that's going to build the temple for God, for the art of God. Not David. David shared too much blood, but God still give him something better, you know. So David's son will be the one who will build the house for God, and his throne and his kingdom will be established forever. I will be his father. Now God's saying when you let it rest, and then your son, or your offspring gonna be in charge. So God said, I'm gonna be his father, and he will be my son. And when he does wrong, God said, I will punish him with a rod, by men with faults inflicted by human hands. Now God will have a special relationship between God and David offspring. His offspring, David would be his son, Solomon. Now your house of your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever. Now this is a covenant between God and David. David's kingdom and throne were established forever. David requested to build a temple, but God said, no, your offspring will build it. God planned for David's life was even better. Establish David's life even when he won't be here. Now, God made a covenant with David. So David had been under Saul. All they know that David, working for with Saul. But now God have him the king over Israel. They need to know he's the king, not working for Saul no more. You know, even so Saul gone, but that's all they know of David. Now God gonna make his name great. You know, now God turned him down by building a temple because he shed too much blood. You know, and a lot of killing that David did on his own. It wasn't no battle or fight that God arranged for him. You know, and so God made even better. You know, He not building the temple, but I still establish your life forever. You know, your offspring is gonna be the one to build the temple. Your offspring, you know, nobody but your offspring gonna be on that throne, gonna be to have the kingdom. You know, so he established all this here for David. So he ain't got to worry about someone fighting to try to get on the throne. You know, because it's gonna be nobody but David bloodline gonna be on that throne. And then God also say, I know you've been under Saul for so long, you know, but you're a king over my people now, and I'm about to make your name great. They got people on this earth greater, but you're gonna be about to be greater than them. I'm about to everyone gonna know about you. Everyone gonna know that you is great. You know, that you is a kingdom, that you is a king over my people. And God made his name great because it's time for him to look for Jonathan's son. You know, nobody but kings gonna sit at David's table. So that means God hadn't established, established and made his name great. You know, so that's a promise. That's a promise to God, to David. You know, he made a covenant with his throne, with his offspring, that his offspring gonna be the one to sit on the throne in the kingdom. Now he turned him down by building a temple. His offspring will build the temple. When God wasn't really rejecting him, God just had something better for him. You know, so that's all I have for you today. A lot of time when God reject us, sometimes he has something better. You know, just like when the door closed, he'll open another door. Sometimes that door wasn't meant for you to go through. You know, and so a lot of time rejection uh be the best thing sometimes, because you don't want to be walking into something that it wasn't meant for you to be. So God wasn't rejecting him. God just had something better for him, and wanted to leave it to his offspring. And he had this little age anyway, so it ain't want to be him building the temple that took him 7 years to build a temple, so God allowed his offspring to build the temple, his offspring to be on that throne. So that's all I have for you today. Y'all have a blessed night, and I see y'all on the next video.